Let me be honest with you about something. You've probably done everything right. You were warm. You were consistent. You showed up. You were genuinely interested. And somehow again, you're sitting here wondering why he pulled back, why his energy shifted, why the man who seemed so interested suddenly needs space. And the painful part, it's not the first time this has happened. Same pattern, different man, same outcome. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why that keeps happening. And more importantly, what you need to do instead. No tricks, no games, just the truth about what's actually going on and the shift that changes everything. Hi, my name is Ellie, and if you're new here, welcome. This channel is about relationships, self-worth, and emotional patterns that quietly run our dating lives. A lot of what I share comes from my own experience, my own reflection, and years of research into how we show up in love and why we sometimes lose ourselves in the process. This space is for women who are done with confusion, women who want to understand themselves better, build real self-worth, and start making intentional choices instead of reacting to how someone else makes them feel. And today's video is one of the most important conversations we can have because the pattern I'm about to describe, I've lived it, I've watched my friends live it, and if you are honest with yourself, you've probably recognized it too. In this video, we are going through 5 patterns that keep women stuck in the cycle of chasing, over-investing too early, being emotionally open without boundaries, ignoring red flags because the connection feels good, needing his validation to feel okay, and a lack of real selectiveness that quietly signals more than you realize. Each one has a cost, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand what that cost is and what to do differently. Let's get into it. Here is what most women don't realize. Men are usually very aware almost immediately of how much you've invested in them. Not because they are calculating it, but because it shows up in your behavior, in how fast you respond, in how available you make yourself, in how much effort you put into every conversation from the very first week. Let me paint the scenario. You meet someone, there is chemistry, it feels good, so you lean in, you text first, you suggest plans, you're showing up fully because that's who you are. And there's nothing wrong with who you are. But here's what's happening on his side. When a man receives high investments from a woman very early, before he's done anything to earn it, his brain registers it as low risk. And low risk in the context of attraction means low stakes. Not because you are low value, but because access to you feels too easy, too guaranteed. Pay attention to this. Attraction is partly built through effort, through the experience of working towards someone. When you remove that by being fully available from day one, you remove one of the core things that builds his investment in you. What you should do instead, pace yourself. Match his energy at the beginning. Not less than it, just match it. If he's texting once a day, you don't need to send 5 messages. Your investment should grow proportionally to his demonstrated interest over time, not ahead of it. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being genuinely intentional with your energy. And that's something completely different. Secondly, emotional availability without boundaries. This one is subtle, and it is where a lot of women get hurt without fully understanding why. Emotional availability is a beautiful quality. The ability to be open, to connect, to communicate, that is not a flaw. But emotional availability without any kind of pacing is something else entirely. And it often lands differently to how you intended. Here is another scenario. Things are going well, you feel safe, so you open up. You share your feelings early. You tell him how much you enjoy spending time with him. You're honest about what you want. You express yourself freely because vulnerability is strength, right? And then it starts to pull back. Here's what's happening. When you invest emotionally before a man has had the chance to invest equally, before he's built that kind of attachment, that makes your openness feel like a gift. It can land as pressure. This is where things shift. Emotional ability becomes magnetic when it's revealed gradually, when it feels like something he gets access to because of effort and consistency he's shown, not something offered upfront regardless of what is done. Boundaries in this context is not walls. They are pacing. They protect the value of your emotional world by not giving it away before someone has shown they can hold it with care. What you should do instead is stay warm, but stay measured. You can be present without being an open book. You can be interested without being deeply invested in week one. Give people more of you as they show you more of who they are. Ignoring red flags because the connection feels good. I want to be really direct here. The feeling of connection is not evidence of compatibility. It's evidence of chemistry. And chemistry and compatibility, they are not the same thing. You meet someone, the conversation flows, there is ease, there is laughter, there is spark. And early on, things concern you. He's inconsistent. He's vague about what he wants. He goes quiet for days and then reappears like nothing happened. He gives you just enough to keep you interested, but never enough to make you feel secure. And you stay because it feels like something. Some people are very good at creating the feeling of connection without the substance of it. Not always deliberately. Sometimes they genuinely enjoy the interaction without being prepared to invest in what comes after that. But the result for you is the same. You are chasing a feeling instead of evaluating a person. And in chasing that feeling, you start making allowances. You rationalize the inconsistency. You excuse the behavior. You tell yourself, he's just guarded, he's busy, he's just not great at communication. You give more to compensate for the gaps in his effort. Pay attention to this. Over-investing in someone who is showing you inconsistency is not love. It is anxiety management. You're working harder to reduce your own uncertainty than to honestly assess whether this person is right for you. What you should do instead is let his actions be information. Not every consistency is a deal breaker, but patterns are. If someone is repeatedly vague, repeatedly pulling back, repeatedly making you feel unsure, that is not a mystery to solve. That is a pattern to take seriously. A woman with real standards doesn't chase clarity. She either receives it or she redirects her energy. That's the shift. Let's move to needing his validation to feel secure. This is the one that's hardest to talk about, but it's also the most important. When your emotional state is directly tied to how he's responding to you, you've already given away your center. And men, they are able to feel it even when they can't name it. Here's the scenario. He's been a bit quiet, not absent, just less responsive than usual. And you start spiraling, checking your phone more, wondering if you said something wrong, replaying the last conversation, maybe sending a message just to test the waters, not because you genuinely want to talk, but because you need reassurance that everything is okay. I know that feeling, and I also know what it costs you. That urgency, that need for confirmation is what gets communicated, not the love behind it, not the genuine care, the need. And need in early stages of connection creates pressure instead of intimacy. Here is what is actually happening underneath it. When your sense of security depends on his behavior, you stop showing up as yourself and you start showing up as someone managing the relationships stability, and that's exhausting for you and for him. What you should do instead is build a relationship with your own sense of self that doesn't require participation to feel intact. A life, a sense of purpose, friendship, interest, things that are yours, regardless of whether he texts back. A woman who is genuinely okay, whether he responds or not because she doesn't care, but because her world doesn't hinge on it, creates a fundamentally different dynamic. She's not managing the connection from anxiety. She's choosing it from a place of actual desire, and that difference is felt. Your emotional security has to be built from within. That's not a dating tip. That's a real life practice. The last one, and this is about how you enter interactions, not just how you behave once you are in them. Most of us don't realize that selectiveness is communicated before a word is spoken. It's in how you carry yourself, how you quickly become invested, in whether you come into a connection with actual standards or with hope that he will turn out to be worth having standards for. Here's the scenario. You meet someone, he seems great, and almost immediately, without realizing it, you shift into audition mode. Not evaluating him, but evaluating yourself. Am I interesting enough? Am I too much? Am I being too available? Am I not available enough? You're adjusting yourself to fit what you think he's looking for. That's not selectiveness. That's performance. And the two feel very different from the inside. When a woman is genuinely selective, she comes into an interaction with a quiet inner knowing that says, I'm here to see if this is worth my time and energy. Not arrogance, not coldness, just the settled confidence of someone who has standards and is actually applying them. That energy is genuinely attractive because it positions her as someone worth pursuing, not because she's performing a role, but because she actually believes her time and attention have value. This is where things shift. When you stop trying to be chosen and start genuinely choosing, the dynamics changes entirely. You are no longer adjusting yourself to fit his preferences. He's the one demonstrating whether he fits into your life. What you should do is come into every interaction with two honest questions. Is this person showing up for me consistently? And is this person worth the version of me I am offering? If the answer to either is no or unclear, redirect your energy. Not dramatically, just quietly and deliberately. Selectiveness isn't a strategy, it's a standard. And standards applied consistently change everything. Now, here is what I want to leave with you. The shift from chasing to being pursued isn't about learning new tactics. It's about changing your relationship with your own worth. Chasing comes from a place of scarcity, from the feeling that this particular person, this connection might be rare. And when you operate from that place, you overinvest, you ignore the signs, you manage his emotions, you perform instead of simply being. Being chosen, genuinely chosen, starts when you believe deeply that your time and emotional world have value, that not everyone who shows up deserves full access to them. You don't have to become cold. You don't have to stop caring. You don't have to manufacture mystery or withhold affection to protect yourself. What you have to do is become genuinely okay with walking away from anything that consistently asks you to give more than it returns. When you actually believe that, not just intellectually, but in how you live, how you make decisions, the right people will feel the difference. And the wrong ones will reveal themselves quickly without having to go through another year of confusion to find out. You will stop losing yourself in connections that were never going to give you what you needed. And you become the woman who chooses, not the woman who is waiting to be chosen. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. This channel is for women who are ready to do the deeper work on themselves, their patterns, and their standards. I'm Ellie. I will see you in the next one. Stay blessed.